Hi folks and welcome back, or should I say welcome to ParaDize, because that is the game I'll be reviewing today. And if you've been distracted by all the latest and greatest AAA and quadruple A game releases of the past few months, then you've probably missed this one as it comes out from a smaller developer. But I have to say, I had a load of fun with it, and if you want to check out my gameplay, then there's a link down below. You can see the entire playthrough on this channel. So what is Welcome to ParaDize? I think the best way to describe it is as a zombie apocalypse action RPG. Basically, you are one of the last survivors on Earth of a zombie apocalypse. However, a safe haven has been created by billionaire Jeff Tusk. Yeah, I think that might be an amalgamation of a couple of famous billionaires. Anyway, it's advertised as like some sort of holiday camp where it is absolutely blissful and a land of plenty, because not only is it safe and sheltered, but they've managed to find a device that puts the zombies to work for you. And yes, in this game, you can actually brain control some of the zombies and have them running around doing tasks for you, like gathering resources and even fighting for you as part of your little team. The thing is though, you turn up at ParaDize to find out that it is not quite as it was advertised at the beginning of the game. The place is overrun, beaten up, run down, and the people there are in desperate need of your help. And then this is the game. The game loop is basically run around exploring parts of the wilderness, doing a few tasks for people, fighting off horde after horde of zombies, trying to find better gear to craft, to add to your extensive loot collection that you've got, to build a bigger base full of traps, and you'll have to defend that later, which is one of the most fun parts of the game, I will add. All in all, you're trying to explore the world to find the parts to build a rocket to launch you to the moon and safety, where apparently there's a safe moon base that this billionaire has set up there, and there's no zombies. The game is designed with a very humorous touch, which I appreciated, and it's also got multiplayer support, although, point of note, I wasn't able to test that out as none of the other streamers I play with actually had a copy of this at the time. So if you're looking to play this with your mates, then I'd definitely recommend checking out just to see how it plays from some other reviews. Alright, let's talk about graphics, sound and performance. The visuals in Welcome to ParaDize are, I'm going to say they are fine. They are okay for the most part. I didn't have any major issues with them. There are some parts of the game where, because of the fixed camera angle, you can't rotate that camera, which would be really useful. There's some parts where you walk behind buildings and other things and you can't quite see what's going on, although you do get a small globe of transparency around your character when you do walk behind an object like that. It would have been nicer if you could have rotated the camera, I think. Overall, for what the game offers and what it does, I think it looks fine, but nothing bad, nothing great either. The sound effects are another thing. The effects themselves, there's nothing too exciting until you get later game and you get some of the bigger weapons. See, the guns at the start of the game are all air weapons and they sound, yeah, they sound like air rifles. Nothing special. Later on there are better weapons. There are things that blow up. There's all sorts of stuff. There's even a meaty chainsaw, which sounds much better. But the star of the audio in this game is the background music. Most of the time, it's fairly quiet. When a horde comes on, or when there's a boss fight going down, it gets loud and thumping, and I really liked it. It set the scene great. So big thumbs up to the music in this game. I really enjoyed it. Now, as to performance, as you might expect from a game that doesn't look absolutely stellar and amazing, performance was fine, and I managed to hit the required 60 frames a second for recording and streaming at all times when I played it. You can check my system specs out down in the description if you want to have a look what I'm playing this on. I don't think I had any crashes, or if there were, it was maybe just one or two throughout the entire game, and I spent a lot of time playing this. So overall, performance was pretty good for me. Alright then, on to my likes and dislikes, and as always, starting with the good stuff. What did I enjoy most about Welcome to ParaDize? Well, probably the combat. It's a nice variation between just roaming around and exploring and meeting quite large groups of wild zombies, and then you get the big horde attacks on the base where you have to defend it to the last. By the way, if your base does get trashed and you lose the attack, it's okay. Rebuilding it is super easy. We just use a bit of scrap that's so easy to pick up. You hit the repair button and your base reappears exactly as you had it. You don't have to go around reconstructing everything. Oh, thank you, developers. That's a great mechanic and I really appreciate that. And then there's big boss fights as well, and they all have their unique tactics and attacks, and they are extremely chaotic and sometimes stressful, but they feel so good when you take them down. And there's a wide variety of different boss fights, and they're all repeatable, so you can farm them for drops of blueprints to make the better weapons if you want to. And I did a bit of this because they really are just a good laugh to do. Now also, as you're roaming the world, you'll meet the wild zombies, which are pretty much just nothings that you can kill, and then they're the ones that you can hack and recruit. At the start of the game, there's only one at a time, but later you can hack more. And then by the end of the game, I think I had 6 zombies running around with me as my little team beating stuff up for me, which was fantastic. But anyway, these zombies that you kill in the wild, some of them are equipped with special types of armor, and you pick up enough of the armor, you can then equip that onto your zombies. And there's lots of unique stuff in here, as well as all the different weapons you can equip them with. And one of the really cool things about this system is that you can customize your team of zombies to do pretty much any role. You can put any of the armor on that you've gathered up for them, any of the type of weapons, and you can also program them with commands, and this goes quite deep. There's a simple command system where you choose 4 actions like taunt, attack, use in or out of combat, heal you in or out of combat, stuff like that. And then there's an expert mode which you don't have to use, but if you want, you can toggle all sorts of things and conditions for when your zombies will do any of these certain actions. And that's really cool. So you can make like a suicide bot zombie that wears an explosive vest and runs off to attack the nearest wall and blows up when he's at so much health. There's loads of stuff like that. And it's really clever. You don't have to go in depth, but I do appreciate that the system is in there. It's really well done, and sometimes that turns out to be super useful. So I mentioned briefly about base building earlier, and that you have to defend your base against zombie attacks. So yes, in the forest in this game, which is one of the starter areas and it's quite big, you get to build a base. And I'll give you a tip here, folks, right now. Build your base in a location where you can only have one entrance into it, and the rest is surrounded by wilderness, ravines, or rivers that zombies can't come across, because when you trigger a base defense event, if you're in the middle of an area, they will come from all sides and you will not be able to defend it. So if you can build it so there is only one approach that channels all the zombies in through the myriad of traps and defenses you have built, you're going to be golden. And yeah, I had to learn that one the hard way. But early in the game, you can only have very basic spike traps. And also your base building is kind of limited by the amount of power you can generate, which are from buildings that you produce. But as a story develops and opens up, then you get more access to these power generating buildings, and you can have a much bigger base as a result. There's things like defensive walls, there's saw blade traps, flame traps, oh, they are so good. And of course, you can also generate your own zombie NPCs to fight and defend and activate the traps around the base. So there's loads of options here. So I also like the exploration, just wandering around the map, seeing different areas. There's loads of cool Easter eggs put into the game. One thing that I really loved was the way developers have built bases and forts for the zombies in the game, the enemies that you have to attack and take over these places. Sometimes they've used the walls to draw humorous images with on the map. There's a really cool one in there. I'll let you see if you can spot it if you play the game. But all the different regions you can explore are reasonably big. There's fast travel points, and it's quite cool seeing new stuff, finding the different items and different materials throughout the game. And there's always plenty there to go and see, and just keep you wanting to just look that bit further to see what new cool stuff you can find. And another huge bonus about the game, encumbrance is not a problem. Well, it's there in the game. You can get overloaded by carrying too much crap around. But the beauty of this is, even if you get quite heavily over encumbered, it doesn't really restrict you that much from moving and fighting and doing all the rest. So it's not the issue that it was in something like Starfield. Yay, thank you developers. Another big plus point that just makes the game a lot more fun to play. And finally, and this was actually one of my favourite points about the game, the humour. There is tons of humour in this. The game is actually set up to troll you quite a bit in some situations, which you will find funny once you get over the initial trolling. And I like it. There's some good funny scenes in there. Some of them are maybe a bit too slapstick, a bit too simple, but there's some really cool stuff. And the game it did have me smiling and smirking quite a lot as we played through. I loved the references to everything outside of the game that they've managed to cram in as well. And there's a beautiful twist towards the end that, yeah, I think you'll like. Okay then, on to the bad stuff. What didn't I like about ParaDize? Thankfully, there's only 3 things on my list here. And the first one was weapons balance. Now, I don't mean that all the weapons are bad. I mean that I found a couple of weapons that seemed so good, there wasn't any point in using any of the others, except in extremely rare situations. And the weapons I found were the best were the single shot air rifle and later proper rifle, and the shotgun. Shotgun for taking out big hordes of wild zombies as you need to get swamped. The spread effect, and it goes through them all, is fantastic. And the single shot air rifle and rifle, for some reason they have a bigger magazine capacity than the automatic weapons like machine guns, and they do a shed load of single shot damage, and they're faster aim, faster fire, faster reload, take anything out in one hit. They're just really, really good. Super efficient on the ammunition. I can't see any reason to use any other of the weapons. There's also a stealth mechanic that you can abuse where if the enemy can't see you, you do more damage. And because the way vision range is calculated in the game, if you keep the enemy targets towards the edge of your screen, the further you are away from them effectively, the more damage you do in a shot. At least that was from my testing. That can be abused massively because even if you are technically in combat, if you keep your target as far away as possible, it's outside of their, I don't know, cone or vision range or however the game calculates it, and you do a shit ton of damage. And I tested this on bosses, it works on them as well. So yes, it works so well. Single shot rifle, shotgun, you're sorted. The sad thing about the game is that the really fun type of weapons, like the machine guns, aren't that effective. They're kind of okay when you get right towards the end of the game, you get the epic legendary ones or whatever they're called. But before that, they're just meh. And that's always a shame because I love cooking off rounds with a machine gun in games. So yes, maybe the weapons could have been balanced to make it more viable to use other stuff. But if you fancy a challenge, just want to do things differently, or just enjoy using melee weapons instead, then you're free to use those. But I never saw the point once I found this really effective combo. The second thing, there are some puzzles in the game, and some of them, the solutions to, are a little bit too cryptic. Now, I should say there's only two things that I really struggled to figure out how to do. One was crossing a chasm in the mountain area, and the other was looking for something at the end of the game. I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want to give spoilers away, but based on the comments that some of you guys have left on my videos, on my extremes, a lot of you have had the same trouble as I have. And I think in both cases, if it wasn't for the good old internet search, I wouldn't have found out how to do these. So maybe a little bit too cryptic. There's one thing at the end of the game, it trolled me quite a bit. Quite a bit, I will happily say. You can watch the playthrough down below if you want, there's a link there. And the final thing that was a bit of a ball ache was if you have to move your base. And if you've not played the game before or watched someone playing it, you probably will. As I did, I built my base in a location which looked great, but turned out to be bad because it could be attacked from all four sides. So later on in the game, I decided to move it into a corner of the map where it's a lot more defensible, and you have to move it one building at a time. And you have to run with that building template up all the way across the map, being attacked by zombies, and put it down where you want it, and repeat for the other few buildings you've got. Now, usually there's not too many actual buildings, but it's all the defenses, the walls, the traps, and the things to activate the traps. It's not worth moving those. You're better off deleting them all and rebuilding elsewhere. But to delete a length of wall sections, you can't do the entire length in one go. You have to get each individual wall panel, bring the menu up on it, interact with it, hold down the delete key for a couple of seconds till it removes, and then repeat. And if you build a big base, you're going to spend ages knocking those walls down just to shift it across. But overall, I had a lot of fun with Welcome to ParaDize, and I am happy to recommend it. It's better than a lot of the big name games that release for huge prices at the moment that turn out to be very disappointing. Do go and check out some of the gameplay at the link down below if you'd like to have a bit more of a look, and please do subscribe to the channel so you can join me when I stream games like this of all types and varieties live throughout the week here on this channel. And yeah, let me know what you think, of course. Give me a thumbs up if you like the review, or a thumbs down if you didn't and you think this game is a load of garbage, and then let me know why in the comments down below. Alright, thanks folks, and I'll catch you on the next one.